Hi guys, we are going to be planning out our argument paragraph first, and then we will be planning out a rebuttal paragraph. So we are going to use our T-chart that we created to help us plan out those two paragraphs. Okay, go to a blank sheet in your notebook or in your handout. So there should be a sheet that looks like this. Let's just first talk about what's in the argument paragraph, just as a reminder. Okay, so our argument paragraph is, we start with a topic sentence, and that lets the reader know what that paragraph is going to be about. Okay, then we have a primary support, or we could say, oops, sorry, let me do that. Then we have a primary support, which is also an A, it's for ACE. Okay. Then we have a secondary support. Remember, there's two parts to secondary support. There's secondary support, which is your citation, and then you have your commentary or elaboration. Okay, so your secondary support, we're going to say this is C for ACE, and then part of your secondary support is your E in ACE, is your elaboration. We're going to leave the elaboration till later. Today, we're just going to fill in the primary supports and the secondary supports. We're going to do this 3 times in our argument paragraphs. So we're going to have primary support again, secondary support with elaboration, and then we are going to do that one more time. Primary support again, secondary support with elaboration, and then we're going to have a concluding sentence. So we are going to use our T-chart to come up with our primary supports. We're going to look in our articles for the citations. We're not going to write those citations right now. We're just going to make note of which article we're going to use to support our primary supports. And then we're going to go back and rewrite the elaboration later. Okay? But before we do all that, we need to start with topic sentence. Okay? So we need to make the idea, remember our stance is that they should raise the minimum wage. And overall, generally, we think it's a good idea. It's going to be beneficial for the U.S. to raise the minimum wage. So that's what we need to make sure that we make that point in our topic sentence. So beneficial okay. And again, you're going to be writing this in your minimum wage handout, and then you're going to do the same thing in your vaccination one. And this is an outline, so we don't need to write incomplete sentences right now. We're just getting our ideas out on paper, so we're not staring at a blank sheet of paper with writer's block. This helps us kind of organize our thoughts, and we know what each sentence of our paragraph then will need to say. Okay, so for my PSs, I'm going to need 3 of them, and I'm going to go back to my T-chart here, and I'm going to find the 3 that I think I have the best. Either I'm going to look back and look at what I have the best citations for, or that are going to be different enough so that it doesn't sound like I'm repeating myself in my paragraph. And I'm going to save 1 that I can use in my rebuttal, maybe 2 that I can use in my rebuttal paragraph. So I also kind of have to be looking at the other side of my T-chart and seeing, okay, I think as the rebuttal I'm going to use it's going to be more expensive for them to do business. That's what I'm going to say that my opposition is going to say in my rebuttal paragraph. So I need to keep one of these over on this side to say why those people are wrong. I need to keep that in mind when I am choosing our primary supports. So when I look at this, one of the biggest things that I think came out that I kind of saw over and over again is that the minimum wage workers are poor or struggling, and nobody should have to live like that. Okay, that point was made by President Obama. They seem to make that point quite a bit in the different articles, so that's one of the ones I'm going to use for my primary support. Another one I'm going to use is that if we do raise the minimum wage, that will provide additional income to families. Again, that seemed to be kind of a point. There was some pretty solid numbers about what kind of income that would provide to families and why that would be beneficial. So we're going to use that as our other primary support. And our last primary support is just this idea that it seems to be that most want it. It's a popular idea. Okay, if your citizens want it, then why not do it? So those are going to be my 3 primary supports in my argument paragraph. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take these 3 that I highlighted here, or I circled, and I'm going to plug them into my outline where it says primary support. So my first primary support or answer is that minimum wage workers are poor or struggling. Okay, the next one, if I go back to my T-chart and I look, the next thing that I circled was that it will give that provides additional income to families. So that's going to be my second primary support. And then my third primary support was that last one, that it's a popular idea. So I'm going to fill that in. Oops. Sorry. Okay, again, these came from my T-chart. I chose 3 because I have 3 primary supports. Now, each one of them needs a secondary support underneath it. So I need to go through my articles and figure out which ones kind of support what I'm saying in my primary support. So if I look at my articles, I can go to this idea that minimal workers are poor or struggling. It talked about the guy who can't even have his own house. He has to live with his parents is one thing in an article. In this article here, this is, if we look at the bottom, it should have our author. So that's what we're going to refer to it. Yeah, so Hall here, and they make this point of nearly $3,500 less than the federal poverty level. So that's in the first paragraph of this last article. It's the article by Hall. Actually, I think that was the second to last article, but it's the article by Hall, A Time to Increase the Minimum Wage. So when I write this on I'm not going to write out the whole quote right now. All I'm going to do is kind of do a placeholder so I remember what it is that I want to use. And the fact that they're below the poverty level for a family of 3, I'm going to kind of take a note of that, and I'm going to look at what article this is from, which is Hall. You see that here. At the bottom of the article, you see the citation. So this, sorry guys, this is what we're going to use to cite. So I'm going to go back to my outline here, and I'm going to write that I want to remember that this is Hall. Oops. Why is that not changing colors? 1 second. Oh, that's weird. Oh, no. Okay, so this is Hall article. That was the first paragraph. That's the sign for paragraph. And it was the 35,000 less quote. So I'm going to just kind of do a placeholder there so I remember which article I grabbed my information from. Another article that I might grab information from is the Smith articles, and that's the one again that the guy can't afford. That was the first article, and it talked about the guy not being able to, he has to live with his parents, he can't live on his own. It was the second page of down here, this Rojas, that he couldn't live on his own. So again, here is who we're going to be quoting, Smith. So I'm going to go to my outline, and I'm going to write Smith, bottom of the paragraph, whatever you need to remember. So Smith, bottom or end, and then guy living with family or parents. Okay? So I have two different things I can use when I go to actually write out my argument. That might change a little bit, but I know where I'm going to look to help support my opinion. My opinion is that minimum wage workers are poor or struggling. Here is where I'm going to get support to show that they are poor or struggling. In Hall, the $35,000 less. In Smith, the bottom, the guy living with the parents. And then later I'm going to have some elaboration. I'm going to comment on that. I'm going to have my own thoughts and feelings on how this quote supports my primary support. And we are going to work on that more individually when I'm back in class next week. Okay? So then I need to do the same process with the next primary support. So this is, it provides additional income to families. Now this also talks about in the Smith article, if I go back to that, in the Smith article, so that was the first article, it talks about a $2.85 increase would give, so it gives some specific numbers. $2.85 increase would give $6,000 more a year to people, okay? And again, that's the Smith article. On mine I have at home, that's paragraph 9. It may be a little bit different for you guys because they changed the formatting, but for me that was paragraph 9. But I also just want to remember that $2.85, and that's $6,000 more. Again, it's my outline, so I don't need to write in complete sentences. I don't need to have a lead in or a speaker tag yet. I'll do that when I actually write out my paragraph. But for our purposes right now, we are organized and know which support I want that helps support this primary support of additional income to families. Okay, last one is that it's a popular idea. And again, that's the Smith article. And they talk about how 3/4 of the U.S. supports this idea. And also that 21 states have already done that. And they're both in the Smith article. And again, that kind of shows that if people want it, we should be doing it. And if there's already all these states that are doing it, why not keep it up? Okay. The last sentence is we're actually going to write out this sentence. And so this is, we're going to do either a recommendation or a prediction. I'm going to start with a prediction. So an if-then statement. So if the U.S., actually, let me try a different color. Sorry, guys. Oh, just kidding. Maybe not. There we go. If the U.S. raises the minimum wage, and when I actually write out the essay, I would write out minimum wage, not just that. So if they raise the minimum wage, it would change many lives for the better. So that just kind of brings everything to a close for this paragraph. Again, we're not going to fill out the E's right now. We're going to go back to those when we start. I'm going to give you some tools to do that commentary or that elaboration. But we have here a nice solid paragraph outlined. We know where we're going in our articles. We know what we're using for our primary supports. And we are going to then take this as a guide because it's really hard to sit and stare at a blank sheet of paper. So we're going to take this as a guide when we actually start to write out our argument paragraph. You don't have to do that yet. So do not try to start writing the argument paragraph because I need to teach you elaboration first, okay? Or commentary first. So know for right now, when we walk into class on Monday, you should have this outline in your vaccination packet. So find a blank page, write the argument outline for the vaccination packet. Make sure that you do the Google survey for this so I can know that you guys are on the right page. And then I am going to do the rebuttal. I'm almost out of time here, so we're going to do the rebuttal on a separate video. Okay, guys?